Greetings of the day. Today I am going to say about the concept of arrays. So we can say this array as a data structure which consists of an homogeneous elements. Homogeneous elements in the sense we are going to say here array consists of elements of same data type which is stored in a contiguous memory location. So array is a data structure which consists of an homogeneous elements, means that it consists of an elements of same data type and which is stored in a contiguous memory location. So it can store like a primitive type or reference type. So we can store many elements under the same name in terms of arrays. So it leads to a dynamic memory allocation. So these are the basic introduction to arrays. So main feature of array is we can store the data dynamically, and then under the same name we can store multiple data items and we can store the data in a contiguous memory location. But the drawback here is we cannot improve the size of the array during runtime. Limitation. Arrays cannot grow in size during runtime. So this is all about arrays introduction. Then we will discuss how to declare, instantiate and then initialize the arrays. So first I will see how to declare array in Java. So we need to give the data type and then name of the array. So this is the syntax to how to declare an array in terms of Java. So example int a. So this is how we are going to declare an array in Java. So then instantiation means that how we are going to allocate memory to the array or how many elements we are going to store in the array. So for that how we can instantiate means example double a is equal to new double of 10. So this indicates that a is an array which can store up to 10 elements. Means a contiguous memory will be created so this length of array is 10, whereas this is what called as indices. That is always the index of the array will be starting from the 0. So that is index will be 0 to n minus 1. So in this case, we are having totally 10 elements. So its index will be from 0 to 9. So if you want to access the individual element of an array, we can represent by means of the index. For example, if I am going to access the 8th element, means I have to give like a of 7. So this is how we can access the element at the particular index of the array. So this is how we are going to declare the array, and this is how we are going to instantiate an array, means that how we are going to allocate the memory for the corresponding array, or how many elements it is going to hold. So this is how we are going to declare as well as instantiate. Continuing that, we will discuss how to initialize an array. So this is one way of initializing the array. Directly while declaring itself, we can initialize the values of array. So means that now A is an array which consists of 3 elements like 10, 13 and 14. Means that A of 0 is equal to 10, and then A of 1 is equal to 13, and then A of 2 is equal to 14. So this is how it should be understood. So this is one way of initializing the arrays. So other way is, first we can instantiate it. Then we can also initialize the value of the arrays. A of 0 is equal to 10. A of 1 is equal to 20. A of 2 is equal to 30. A of 3 is equal to 40. And A of 4 is equal to 50. So totally we have initialized with instantiated with the 5 elements, means that we can store up to 5 elements in this array. So index position will be starting from 0 to 4. So this is how we have to initialize the arrays. So what we discussed is just what is an array, and then we discussed how to declare it, how to instantiate it, and how to initialize it. So coming to the types of the array. So we have like one-dimensional array, and then two-dimensional array, and also we have like multi-dimensional array. So we will discuss about how one-dimensional array as well as two-dimensional array now. So this is about the types of the arrays. So general array is what, like one-dimensional array. So if you are representing a single index position, then that is what representing your one-dimensional array. So this is the declaration. Then this is what, like instantiation of one-dimensional array. So based on this, we'll discuss one example program, like how to get the array elements from the user, and how to store it, and then how to print the array element. This is an example for one-dimensional array. So we are going to import the header file, import java.util.asterisk. Then we are going to create a class Java example. So inside the class, we are going to create a main function. So inside the main function, we are first going to, in order to take the input, we are going to create a scanner class, object for the scanner class. Then we are going to declare one variable count. Then first we will take the count of array elements so that accordingly we can So now we have acquired the value of the count. Then accordingly we will initialize the array. So I'm going to create one-dimensional array. So whatever the count value, accordingly that many arrays will be instantiated. Later we will try to get the input for the array. We'll store the elements of the array and then we'll try to print it. So in order to get the elements of array, I'm going to make use of a for loop. For I equal to 0, I less than count, I plus plus, A is equal to So in this way, we are going to get the input from the user. So how many, whatever the count times, that many input it will be taken and then it will be stored in the value of A. Means it will be stored in the array. Later we are trying to print the values. So here we can add one statement like system.out.println, enter the elements of array. Right. So this will be understandable. Means that first we are taking the how many number of elements in the array. Then we are going to ask for the enter the elements of the array. Then we are storing it in the array. Later we are trying to print the elements of the array. So system.out.println, the array elements are. So we are trying to print it. Again we are going to make use of the for loop. So we are starting from for I equal to 0, I less than count, and then I plus plus. We are just going to print it. System.out.println of So later we can close the scan. And then we are going to close the main function, and then we are going to close the class. So this is one simple program for one-dimensional array, how to take the input for the array and then how to print it using the for loop. Okay. In the same program, I will also explain the concept of for each loop, like how for each loop will work for an array. So instead of using for loop, we can also make use of a for each loop. So for each loop is particularly used for the array concept, that for the concept of collections in terms of Java. So first we have imported the header file, and then we have created the class, and then we are created the main function. So inside the main function, just directly I'm going to create one-dimensional array. So this is an one-dimensional array where A is the name of the array. It consists of totally 5 elements. So length of the array is like 5. Okay. Whereas the index starts from 0 to 4. So I have created one array. So we can, if you want to print this array, instead of using the for loop, we can also make use of the for each loop. So I'll try to print it using the for each loop. System.out.println the elements of the array are. So we are going to make use of for each loop. So already we have an array A. So we will create like int data colon A. So inside which we are going to print system.out.data. Then I'm going to close the main function, then I'm going to close. So this is a very simple program where we are going to make use of the concept for each loop. Okay, thank you.